Come on board, welcome on the trimaran SVR Lazartigue, which is, that's true, fastest boat now on the Rolex Fastnet Race, and pretty happy and proud of this. So this is a big trimaran, a multi-hull. Its size, it's 32 meters long, 23 meters wide. Mast is around 36 meters above water. And that's a flying boat. That's the most important thing with these big foils you can see on the back. With the foils, the darboard and the rudder, we manage to fly when the conditions are good, but it's most of the time now, even upwind, we're managing to fly, and means that we could be with good speed upwind around 30 knots. And downwind, if the sea conditions are good, it's more than 30 knots, sometimes 40, 45 knots. So it's yeah, amazing boat to sail with a crew on the Fastnet Race, but also a solo or double-handed. That's a goal of this boat, to sail around the world with a crew or solo. Yeah, that's what we're trying to do. So, what you have to understand is when you're flying, of course, we work a lot on the appendages, these folds, these rudders, this darboard, because it's with these folds that we manage to make the boat fly, and all the hydrodynamic on these folds are very important. So there is a lot of work on all of these appendages. But then after, when you're flying, the aero of the platform, of course of the sails, but the platform is very important because it could drag a lot and slow down the boat. So we try to make something that drag as less as possible. That's why we have this type of thing, but it exists on the multi-hull for maybe now, I don't know, 10 or 15 years. And we try to make yeah, the boat as flat as possible. You can helm the boat from this place. One of the good things also when you have a good aero, there is nothing on the vision. Means that when you're sitting, you can sit here or be up to helm and drive the boat, and you see pretty well all around because it's all flat. But that's yeah, one of the maybe big change we could have on the trimaran SVR Lazartigue compared to my old boat, the trimaran Massif. So I sit here. Yeah, you can film like this. So we can drive. The thing also, this is a electronical wheel, so it control the pilot of the boat. So mean that it's all electronic. And means we have this button, and we can have more. That we have a sensor that look at force in the rudder. So we feel it in this rudder. It's off now, but when you're steering the boat, you just feel pressure you have in the rudder like you have in a classic wheel. And you can make it stronger, weaker. You can adjust this. And you have yeah, the classic information you need to have to sail here and here. And you have access to some things like, for example, this one is to release the main. So if you're steering here, you can have the classic sheet. We have here clamp cleats, so we can release, but you can also release. And if you're sailing with your crew, like we're doing for the Fastnet Race, you can also have, if you have crew that grinding, at the same time you can adjust falls or flap of the darboard. So that's you can do a lot of things from there.
It looks like a SLGP.
Yeah, that's true. It's maybe a little bit the evolution that we have now on racing boats. Yeah, not working perfectly. We have a good try. This part is pretty good, but we also, well, we have some drops of water. So we have to make it better, but yeah, for the Fastnet Race it was not dry at all, but we will try to make it better. And what you have to understand also is when you're sailing upwind more than 30 knots in a boat like this, and it's 30 knots out, the apparent wind speed apparent wind speed is more than 60 knots, means that you cannot drive the boat with your eyes open outside. You need to be protected. So that's also a good thing, is you can close it and feeling good, even if there is a waves coming at this speed. You keep the eyes open and you can drive the boat correctly. Yeah, sometimes. I mean, this is a big boat, could be flying, so sometimes it could be 20 knots of wind and you're just flying and it's all dry on the boat. But when there is waves, or typically on the conditions we have on the start or not on the Solent, pretty dry, if it's not the raining drop we have. But when we're out, it's sometimes the waves are crashing on the boat and you have a lot of water coming on the deck.
And the second bubble, I know we can't.
I mean, it's to go in and out, and you can have also when you're, for example, because when you're grinding and you have your head here. So now you can have someone helming from there and grinding on the back or on the other side, and you can go out also. I mean, this when you're helming, it's often closed. Then you can have people going in and out from there. But actually, the boat is when you're sailing on a boat like this, you 99% of the time you are in the cockpit. You're not on the trampoline or somewhere else because it's going fast, and that's not very comfortable to be where we are when it's falling more than 30 or 40 knots.
But a lot of grinding involved. So.
That's true. Yeah. Also, you see, we don't have a lot of sails on a boat like this. On this multi-hulls, you only have, so we have like what we call the Gineker G0, G1, G2, G3. So it's only four sails. Then the main sail, so 5 sails with the main sails, which is not so much. But that's big sails with a lot of effort. So yeah, you're grinding a lot. You have to grind to move everything on the boat, even the appendages, the falls, to make them up and down, to change the rake of the falls. It needs a lot of energy, so you have to grind, and I don't know how many hours we're doing a day, but if you're sailing solo on a boat like this, it's a lot for only one people to grind all the time. I sailed a lot solo in the last 10 or 15 years. So I enjoy now also the pleasure to share with the team. Share the grinding, but I love grinding. So, and also it's good, to sail with other people, to share your knowledge and also to share what you're living, like the emotions and experience we could have on a race like this. And sailing on a boat like this with a crew, it's also things you can't do when you're sailing solo. I mean, for example, sailing out of the Solent, it's just not possible to do it solo. It's not possible. So you can do things, make the boat fly more often, more efficient, better efficient way. It's good to sail with a crew. What I want to do in the next years with this boat, and one of our goals is Trophée Jules Verne. Sailing around the world as fast as possible with a crew. So it's what we will try to do in the next years.
Will the team change much before Tom takes it solo around the world?
The boat is changing a little bit, but not like big change. It will be, I would say, the same appendages, the same sails, but we have a lot of small work on the system to make it better all the time. This is a prototype. You always try to make it better, but we won't bring something new in the next 6 months. It's just make it all of this working better. We didn't have the deck sweeper on this race, so it's something we put on the boom to make the connection with the main hull and the sail plan better.
The
So
end
yeah, we didn't have this on this race. It will be done next month. On aerodynamic, it will be way better. So we didn't have there, but it will be maybe the big change you can see, at least also from outside. So it will be not done next month. We will have it at the end of August. It's difficult to put numbers on this, because we're thinking before this race, we don't have what could be the consequences, but we know that it will be faster. At how much, we don't know.
What is the top speed you've seen on this boat so far?
I think we did 51, something like this, 51 knots. And but you know, this is an offshore racing boat, and means the target is to have average speed, high average speed, and that's so if you want to go faster than 50 knots, I'm not saying it's easy, but you just put smaller falls that's maybe dragging a lot when you're going slow, but after could push the limit a little bit away. And our target with this boat is to sail 40-45 knots, but to keep this speed for hours, I would say even for days. And that's something we managed to do pretty well with all of these Ultim boats. It's to be able to sail more than 40 knots, but to keep this average speed for hours. That's yeah, what we want to do.
What's the optimum condition to be able to do that for literally, as you say, days?
Of course, it's flat water. I would say the perfect condition is to have 25 or 30 knots of wind with flat water, but doesn't exist. So it's a little bit. It's good to have 20 knots of wind, I will say, at least. And after, when you have 25, 30 knots, it's better. But most of the time, you have the waves with this. So it's in between 20 to 30 knots, and trying to have a good sea state. But good, we also, it's flying on only with 12, 14 knots of wind. So it means that with only 15 or 20 knots of wind, you already sailing more than 40 knots. So that's incredible. That's wind machine is working pretty well.